Hello, everybody. It looks like I am the last person speaking, so while I don't have t-shirt cannons or fireworks in my presentation, you'll have to make do with something very interesting to take back home. I was also told I would be, can you hear? I was also told I'd be booed off the stage if I didn't acknowledge Amy from City Carbonic, so hi Amy, hope you're doing well.
And so Sam, and Josh, and everybody.
My name is Sam Fatoohi, and I lead up sales and growth at Pulsa. We have a booth right outside, and you may have also met Sean Pearson, who's also here from the Pulsa team. Big thanks to Gasworld, Martin, Hannah, Johnny, the whole team for hosting a great conference, especially Hannah for doing everything with a smile, even last minute requests that I was told not to do. I'd like to start this presentation really with a prompt. There we go. Can I get a show of hands for anybody who believes that their job has become more difficult in the last year? I would expect to see most of the hands up, right? And that's not too surprising. You know, we're really in one of the most, I'd say, challenging business environments with significant negative headwinds. CO2 distribution has been one of the hardest hit industries due to many macroeconomic trends that have been discussed throughout the day that everyone's very familiar with. Supply chain reductions have caused really CO2 costs to skyrocket and availability to drop. Demand hasn't slowed either. As many other speakers have noted, it's increased. Industries like cannabis, brewing, water treatment, food production, all the industries that have come up and spoken today, all increasing their CO2 usage. Fuel costs, driver shortages, that's also significantly increased distribution costs. And supply chain woes have really crushed lead times for trucks and other supplies. And when you started on travel restrictions, international lockdowns, access to capital, it's just been a very complicated situation. Frankly, I've spoken to several distributors out here who have been terrified that they would lose a significant portion of their business because of the problems in the industry. And I'm not gonna stand up here and claim that Pulsa can solve all CO2 distribution issues, but I believe that we can be part of the solution. Put simply, Pulsa is an inventory management platform that allows you to predict better. While many people group us into the telemetry category, as a cloud-based enterprise software company, we are capable of much more than what you're accustomed to with traditional telemetry. What I'd like to do is share why this matters, how we can help, and some background on the current state of CO2 distribution. Here's how the world looks today. Telemetry has been around for decades, and the technology has historically been geared towards bulk applications. This means that your units typically only get a handful of readings a day or a week because you've never needed more than that when you're monitoring tens of thousands of pounds of product. Even leaks on bulk tanks rarely cause stock-out scenarios with big problems out in the field. Telemetry has also been very large and bulky because it's used on giant tanks with plenty of space. There's no need to be space efficient when you can mount a giant unit on a giant tank in a giant yard. And spending a couple hours installing, sitting on hold to set up telemetry is not a problem because a bulk installation almost always takes better part of a day or multiple days. What does this mean for the management of most gas assets? As we all know, those giant bulk tanks make up probably less than 5% of all assets in the field. And especially in CO2, most CO2 containers consist of BevCarb tanks, Carbomax tanks, cylinders, basically 1,000 pounds and less of assets. And distributors are currently using, because of the existing technology, distributors are currently really using predefined milk runs for most of their deliveries. They're relying on end users who are often junior staff at restaurants who are not always the most trained in gas systems to call their supplier and provide ample lead time for development and for deployment, and we all know what happens when someone gets a call on a Friday night when your supply is all out. And leaks are only caught really when stockouts occur. And often it takes a couple expedited deliveries before root cause is addressed. They're identified after a customer complains of frequent deliveries or runouts and often cause significant friction between the end user, the distributor, and also the on-site installation team. And all this inefficiency really leads to millions of dollars of wasted time, fuel, and product. Now let's look at what's possible today. You can now get hundreds, 500 plus readings a day, which provides close to real-time visibility of all remote assets. With smaller assets, you need to know what's happening immediately. You can no longer wait until the next day or week for a reading when a leak could change everything and cause you to lose customers. Telemetry units no longer need to be the size of a small child. The device in the palm of my hand here is all you need to have installed on a tank. Also, with wireless telemetry options, you can use a variety of different sensors, from weight to units that connect to third-party sensors in multiple different scenarios. And software is built to scale for the enterprise. It's designed to support tens of thousands of assets and constantly updated to enable new enterprise capabilities. With thousands of assets, software has to be designed not to really prioritize asset viewing, but it has to prioritize actions and activity. You can think about the cybersecurity corollary. If you flagged every single website visit as an attack, your entire business was shut down just waiting for something to happen. So actions need to be prioritized, not just visibility. And what does this mean really for distribution? Deliveries now can happen only when necessary, not too early, not too late. Reducing distribution frequency only saves both distributors and end users money and time. Leaks and issues and any anomalous issues can be detected proactively and caught and fixed. With up to the minute visibility of consumption and other environmental data, like pressure, like temperature, like anything else, remote troubleshooting now is much easier. Rather than sending out a technician to go check on what's going on, you can easily know if somebody kept a valve open, if there's an empty bag in the box, or any kind of problem similar to that. And ultimately, most importantly, waste is reduced and service is improved for everybody. Distribution can now provide a better service to their customers at a lower cost. How is this all done? Let me share a few high-level points. With real-time visibility, now only the delivery of depleted assets needs to be prioritized. No longer are top-offs or partial fills required or should ever even occur anymore. Any distributor can now filter and view their sensors on a map to easily determine which assets need visits and when. This prioritization allows distributors to save their inventory until their next replenishment and keep ample supply without allowing any end users to run out. With up-to-the-minute alerts, stockouts can be addressed and averted without waiting for the next daily reading. We've seen many distributors out there also use alerts as somewhat of a delivery queue to identify key players to visit. And with quick access of all remote assets from mobile devices, drivers, salespeople, logistics managers, anybody involved in the CO2 delivery process has the ability to quickly respond to any local changes. Everything visible from a computer is also visible and configurable on your smartphone now, which includes adding sensors, adjusting configurations, and viewing everything on a map. And with roughly, let's say, 5 to 20% of all CO2 wasted during a fill due to fill loss, you can better utilize your CO2 inventory. By only dumping CO2 when the customer is low, distributors no longer have to frequently use CO2 during the fill process for unnecessary fills. Not only can you streamline your supply chain, you can proactively catch and fix problems for better service across the whole CO2 distribution chain. Analytical tools have been critical in proactively catching and resolving issues. In the first example on the top left, one of our customers was able to work with their fast food restaurant customer and compare and contrast a leaky deployment to a reliable deployment. Not only were they able to work with their customer to identify the leak and save hundreds of pounds of CO2 a week, but they were also able to flip their customer, who was considering moving to a competing distribution company, to expanding their support across 20 plus franchises. These tools can also be used across the enterprise for visibility of consumption metrics across all assets. Real-time data also allows analysis of consumption trends and patterns during various periods. We frequently see significantly different behavior during the lunchtime rush at fast food restaurants, brewing periods at breweries, and various cycles of the cannabis growing cycle. Having real-time visibility not only helps distributors proactively resupply their customers during potential high usage cycles, but also provides customers with appropriate data to partner with their suppliers to avoid any Friday night emergency delivery calls before high consumption periods. And real-time alerts, which are really only possible with high frequency readings, are also critical. In the second example, we set up level and pressure alerts, and we're able to help with just one location save 800 pounds of CO2 within a month of deploying Pulsa. This particular account caught two big problems. One, an empty bag in the box, and two, another leak. And the supplier went from one franchise location with Pulsa in the gas account to the entire 40 location franchise after solving this big problem for them immediately. And I'm using these examples not because they're rare, because they're so common. Every single distributor in this room runs into leaks and problems on at least a weekly basis. And high frequency telemetry provides the tools and capabilities necessary to catch and address those problems immediately. To sum it all up, the status quo is costing this industry millions of dollars and severely impacting almost everybody in this room. The business drivers are ready and the technology is ready. One of my favorite trends to monitor is that the most successful companies always invest heavily in technology and operational improvements during a downturn. And why is that? Because the efficiencies achieved from operational improvements enable companies not only to tighten their belts during hard times, but also reap the benefits of increased ability to grow and scale during better times. Let's start with this group of leaders in this room and change the industry. Thanks everybody, and I look forward to continuing the conversation with you all, and I welcome any questions from the audience.